and welcome to the 2007 Shannon's Nationals. We're bringing you more from round 8 from the series from Mallala Motorsport Park in South Australia. Well, conditions are expected to be fine for the rest of the day, which is good news for teams who are still struggling to set up their car for what's considered a pretty tricky circuit. We'll find out more with our resident expert, Richard Crail.
Thanks, Julie. Round 8 of the Shannon's Nationals takes us back to Adelaide in South Australia's Mallala Raceway, a challenging little circuit about an hour's drive north of the city's CBD. It's just over 2.6 k's in length. Lap record, a low 1 minute 2 set back in the great days of open wheel racing. It's a challenging little circuit. Turn 1 pretty fast. Turn 2, which basically doubles back on itself, even more challenging. A passing opportunity exists down at turn 3 before they accelerate hard before braking for turn 5, the northern hairpin. There's also a great passing opportunity at turn number 7.
Well, the HQs have produced some incredible scenes on track over the year, and with the championship all but secured, drivers will have their foot to the floor in their final race of the year.
In what has been a breakout season for the HQRA National Challenge, close quality racing has fast become the norm. This round at Mallala represents the last of the season for the national competition, and after the departure of Leighton Cranbrook for V8 Utes earlier in the season, the chase for his vacant throne has been an intriguing tale. Kieran Pilkington has been the standout performer this season and enters the final round in the enviable position of top spot, 98 points in front of his nearest rival. The real battle coming into Championship D-Day is the five-way stabs for second place, where only 56 points separate second from sixth. With so many people still in the mix, the final round of the HQRA National Challenge for 2007 could very well be the best of them all.
It's fairly exciting this weekend. We're second in the championship. We had a great Simmons Plains round, so we were able to redeem some points back there from our sort of earlier fracas at Phillip Island. But yeah, look, we're looking strong here. The car's going good. We seem to be right up there with the local guns.
Basically, I've got to stay ahead of pretty much two people. One's Bart, who's behind me on the grid this afternoon, and the other fella's my younger brother. Younger brother I think I can handle. Bart might be a bit of a different story.
I think the guys up here are very competitive. These South Australian guys are very competitive, and I don't think they like anyone passing them, for other states especially.
This is probably one of the hardest circuits I've ever been to try and set my car up. We're getting a lot of wheel spin, and we just can't dial it out of the car. And I've talked to some of the locals, and they give me a little tip and that sort of work, but it's still nowhere near as quick as them. We're about a second off them.
After years on the sideline looking on, the HQs have finally scored an invite to the Graceland of Australian motorsport, Mount Panorama. And in a supporting role at the 2008 Bathurst Motor Festival, the news has sent a wave of excitement through the pits, and category manager Dale Ewart cites the strength of the National Championship as the launching pad for the HQ Series.
It's been closely fought. The guys that have followed the series around have enjoyed it immensely. Getting around, meeting the guys in other states and working out the local tracks. Usually by the end of the weekend they're on the money, so up at the pointy end, so they've enjoyed it a lot. We've got a good turn up this weekend. It's the last round of our challenge this year, so the boys have come out in big numbers. We've been able to put on good fields at all the rounds and some good racing as well, obviously, so we were fortunate enough to get an invite to go to Bathurst, where we haven't been since 2002, I think, so all the guys are pretty keen for that.
What does it mean for the HQs to be there?
Well, in the expression of interest form I put out, and I got some very interesting responses. Most of them it's along the lines of a lifetime ambition, best track in Australia, would love to go there. Obviously it's a long lap, 6 kilometres around there, so there's plenty of corners to make a mistake on with all the concrete around, but the guys are still dead keen to be there. That's the main thing. So hopefully by raising the profile of the category, people will know that we're still around, want to become involved, which obviously will improve numbers everywhere. It adds value to the cars, and hopefully we can get on the program at big events like that again.
Points coming into the round, Kieran Pilkington leads the way ahead of Stephen White. Bob Fullerton is third, Connell is fourth, Stanfield, Fullerton, Cranbrook and Dallas Crane complete the top 8. Well, Gavin Porteous led the huge roaring pack of 33 HQ holds out for their second race of the final round at Mallala Raceway, and what a sight it was, Luke.
Yeah, series leader Kieran Pilkington, meantime, was just cruising around in the top 8, just having to finish all his races this weekend to take out the 2007 HQ Racing Australia National Challenge, sponsored by Merc Bits.
Greg Nicholson was one of the first to suffer damage, and he was unfortunately out of the race.
with so many cars in the field, there was sure to be a lot of off-road action, and sure enough, Godding, Davison and Holmes went 3 wide into the flip-flops.
Graham Mason, meanwhile, was in the pits with car troubles, which left a tight battle for second between Chad Beers and Neil Corey.
Davison was getting tossed around a bit, eventually losing control, but did very well to get back onto the circuit.
And after laps of duelling, Corey finally made his move on Beers and made it stick too, stealing second place.
Rob Southgate was another to suffer mechanical problems, leaving his car stationed off the track for the remainder of the race.
Corey and Beers' battle unfortunately came to an end and handed second place to youngster Bart Stanfield.
Meantime, 17 seconds ahead of the pack was Gavin Porteous, sailing on his merry lay. He took the race win from Stanfield, Corey, Beers, Bolter, White, Pilkington and Crouch.
Well, it's a bit lucky. I thought Mace was going to give us a fairly hard time, but something's gone wrong. I haven't spoken to him yet, but obviously something's gone wrong with his car, and he failed to finish, which is unfortunate for him.
Changed a few settings on the car yesterday, and we were hoping they were going to work, and they come through, and we just had to hold it together. And 2 and 3 fell off the track, so made it easier for us.
The car was going okay, and it took me a while to get from 4th to 3rd. When I got to 2nd, I had a little bit of an accident, and the S's got taken out, unfortunately. But got back to 3rd, so could have been worse.
Blood runs thicker than water, especially when HQ Racing is involved. For the Fullerton boys, Bob and John, HQ Racing is more than a hobby, it's an obsession. After sampling various categories in the past, including speedway and rallying, the Fullertons discovered HQ Racing, and after 7 years in the category, both brothers are now top 8 regulars in what is an increasingly competitive championship.
I raced speedway for 14 years, bit of rallycross, did that for a couple of years. Then I was overseas for a couple of years, and I come back and got into HQ Racing. I've been in the category now 7 years, or this is my 7th year. I just love them. Love them. There's anyone who out there wants to get involved in motor racing and tin tops, they've got to start with HQs, because if you can drive one of these things around the track, you can drive anything. I'm not the fastest HQ out there, but I've so far managed to finish all the races. I'm actually running 3rd in the championship at the moment, I'm just hanging on to it.
Dubbed the Bling King, the eclectic Bob Fullerton has brought his unique style and verve to a class that was crying out for a revamp before his arrival.
It's all about presentation. When I first joined the HQs, there were some pretty sad looking cars, and I just wanted to up the ante a little bit, and I enjoy doing it too. It gives me a great deal of pleasure. The boys in the club actually call me the Bling King. I've spent a lot of time, a lot of money to do all the rounds. If I get there, I'll be probably the happiest bloke in the field, but if I don't, then I don't. Next year, I'd like to definitely want to get to Bathurst. Haven't been there before. I want to do that, and I'd seriously consider doing the Shannon's Nationals again. It's been fantastic this year.
Race number 3, round number 5 of the Merkbits HQRA National Challenge at Mallala Raceway. A great field in the culmination of a fantastic 2007 season with the Shannon's Nationals. Gavin Porteous and Bart Stanfield, Luke West will go from the front row.
Then it's Corey and Beers, Bolter and White, and Pilkington, the man who just needs to cruise around from 7th.
Massive field, and a great portion of the interstate competitors joined by the massive South Australian contingent as we get set for a start at Mallala Raceway, one of the true homes of HQ Racing. It's got a very strong following in this state, and Merkbits supporting this championship here in the final round as the field files himself into turn 1. Have a look at the size of this grid.
Fantastic. 20th year of HQ Racing this year. It all started in Tasmania. There's car number 81, Bob Fullerton, in that beautiful paint job there. $6 grand to deck out those 2 cars of the Fullerton brothers.
That's remarkable, isn't it? So they run down to turn 3. Great field, and all the pressure at the moment on Kieran Pilkington, who really just needs to finish inside the top half a dozen in all of these races this weekend to assure himself of the HQRA Merkbits National Challenge, and that will be a great reward for a great season's worth of work for Pilkington. It's interesting to note that more than half of the association competitors are raced in the National Challenges 5 rounds this season, taking advantage of the TV coverage and the great support that has gone with it.
On board now with Stanfield there. I can't believe the lead of Gavin Porteous in a HQ race. He's just leaping away while the rest of the field sort themselves out.
Home track knowledge will do that for you, Luke. He won the opening race, or race 2, our first of the program. He won it by something like 17 seconds. Huge margin as one of the cars gets a little bit wide up at turn 7. But there is the margin already, probably 5 to 10 car lengths on the opening lap.
That was no way to treat a Premier, was it? Kingswoods and Premiers out there, great stuff there. 20 years in the making, and they're still going strong, the HQs.
Dallas Crane in the bright green number 7 car, running particularly strongly, but here is a great battle. Chad Beers from South Australia leading Neil Corey. A couple of local competitors. In fact, the locals really filing their way to the top, and it's been Pilkington who's been amongst the strongest of the national competitors that have joined the field this weekend. But still, Porteous just driving away from the field at the moment.
Pity the poor people that own HQs and are looking for parts, because they're all on race cars. Lots of these cars get damaged, as you can expect, being identical in performance. They rub shoulders together, lose lots of mirrors, so finding parts is not always an easy task. There's our race leader, Gavin Porteous, the South Australian, and he's put his head down and bolted.
Look, this is a category that very shortly will return to the mountain after a 5-year hiatus. They're back at the Bathurst Motor Festival next year, as we see Corey looking up the inside of Stanfield in the 22. Graham Bolter in the number 10 is there as well. He's the chairman of the South Australian HQ Association and does great things with that series, responsible for its current strength. They're averaging sort of 20 cars in SA, which is great to see. Back at Bathurst, and you can imagine the reaction that will get from HQ competitors all around Australia, and you can be assured of a massive field in Mount Panorama come February next year.
It used to be a traditional Sunday morning HQ race before the Bathurst 1000 years ago. So 5 years on from their last appearance, they're going to be back as Bolter comes bolting through the field.
Got past the 27 car, Stephen White running second in the championship at the moment. He's looking up the inside of 22, which is Stanfield. We go on board the Paradise Pools and Solar entry. Petter's support on the dashboard as well. Great close racing. The first real true one-mate category in Australian motorsport. Really kept it simple, kept it affordable, and has just continued to flourish in Australia in the face of many other challenges from other series. This battle continues. Stanfield looking to place the pressure on.
There is the car number 14 of Darryl Crouch, another of the South Australians there. Looks like he just put a wheel off. Yes, he did, Crouch. Put a wheel off there, ran wide, so he was slow onto the straight. He may well be gobbled up by the competitors behind. Yes, indeed, that green car now sweeping through.
Here's Pilkington, the Workhorse Solutions 68 car from New South Wales, in a great position to clinch a championship, sporting some damage on the front of that car from an earlier altercation this weekend. The old 100-mile-an-hour tape has been used in force to hold the front of that HQ together, but that's only very minor damage for a HQ. Something like that's not going to slow one of them down.
That was Dallas Crane there, car number 7, the green machine getting around Crouch. Now he's putting the pressure on Pilkington.
Nice move up the inside into turn 7. Corporates in the background, out in force. Everyone goes to the fence to watch the HQs, and a good crowd at Mallala in perfect conditions for this fantastic racing series, and a series that continues to go strength to strength. And the innovation of the Merc-Bits HQRA National Challenge this year has really seen fantastic competitor support. As I mentioned earlier, half of the competitors have gone to all the rounds, which is a fantastic support in a series where often budgets are very, very small, and often they can't afford to do it, but really taking advantage of the TV coverage and the great exposure this series has received this year. And next year will be the 20th anniversary of HQ racing in Australia, and they'll return for their nationals to Baskerville in Hobart for the National Championship round, which will be just a wonderful place. That is, of course, the birthplace of HQ racing in Australia.
Car 68 there is our championship leader. Pilkington is in the Workhorse Collision sponsored machine. Had an accident at the last round, and his crew has worked, burned the midnight oil to get him back, and here he is with a great chance of wrapping up the championship.
Stanfield and Crane going side by side into turn 7, and some fisticuffs exiting that corner. Crane making his presence felt. And was that a hand waving there from Stanfield? And oh, look, a shake of the head as well. He is furious. Not happy with that is Bart Stanfield. Here's the replay. Thanks to Merc-Bits, you can see the move up the inside. And Crane just moved across on the racetrack a little bit. Certainly took his racing line. Unfortunately, Stanfield was right there.
The green car of Crane. The next car in his sights is Stephen White, the black machine, 2 ahead of the car we are on board.
We'll take a break from Mallala. There'll be more HQs on the other side of this. Mallala Raceway for the Merckbits HQRA National Challenge, the final round of the championship. Kieran Pilkington in a prime position to clinch the title, but right now it's Gavin Porteous who leads the field by a considerable margin in the 51 car. Beers is second, Corey, Burbridge, White, Crane, Holmes, and there is Pilkington, currently scored in 8th place.
That green car there, number 7 of Dallas Crane, the mover in the pack. He's been embattled and he put pressure on so many other cars, made up a number of spots.
He is charging forward. There's Holmes in the 6. He's coming under some pressure as well. Oh, here we go. Here's a move. There is Holmes. Fires up the inside. Oh, he's collected Bolter as well. Massive crunch up at turn 5, the northern hairpin at Mallala. Several cars having to take avoiding action. And that was a very, very late braking move up the inside. I wonder if he had brake problems. Just fired it up there. So we go on board with Stanfield, who we saw earlier on, gesturing and shaking his head. He was unhappy with the move from Crane, but that was a big crunch up at turn 5.
Well, that's put paid to Graham Bolter, as we see now Crane just going off there. So all that good work undone for Dallas Crane.
We'll have to watch the dry grass. Here's a replay. And there is Holmes firing it up the inside. They were 3 wide. He was right off the inside of the racetrack there and just T-boned Bolter, who was really the unwitting recipient in that. He just was minding his own business, exiting the northern hairpin. Some pretty hefty damage to the back of the number 10 VIP car. So a real shame for Graham Bolter. And that was, well, an interesting accident, I guess, up at turn 5.
Yeah, so that puts paid to Bolter and Holmes. Also delayed there. Here we go. That is the car of Graham Bolter into the pits to retire. Also delayed there, Dallas Crane and Stephen White in that incident.
One of the few panels you can't just bolt on and bolt off, and then a HQ is the rear quarter. So that will require some work for Graham and the VIP team to get that thing back ship shape. He'll be competing in the final state round in South Australia in a few weeks' time. I'm sure he'll be out there. He's a very passionate supporter of HQ Racing. We'll live to fight another day, but surely he'll be very, very disappointed with that. Here's Crouch. He's continuing to be placed under pressure from White, who was second in the championship coming into this round.
White in the black car, work that one out.
It's a great looking car too, the ST Automotive entry, and they're currently battling it out for the minor positions inside the top 5 and 6 here at Mallala Raceway. Porty is still unchallenged out in front. It's remarkable how he's just had such a handle on this car, and really those opening laps have been key for him, haven't they? Just by extending that margin early and then maintaining and building his lead.
So there is the car of the champion-elect, number 68, Kieran Pilkington, right where he needs to be, just collecting a bundle of points to march on towards that championship.
It's got the fair old hit on the front there as Pilkington. Car certainly not as straight as I'm sure he'd like it to be, but nevertheless he's in a prime position to do exactly what he came here to do, which was to clinch the Merckbits HQRA National Challenge in the HQ Holdens. And really got to take a hat off to Dale Ewald and all of the people behind the scenes, the HQ Racing Association, and working with the Shannon's Nationals to build up this championship. And very, very positive response, always averaging well over 25 cars at each of these rounds. And here is our race leader, Gavin Porteous, who has just dominated this weekend, looking to make it a clean sweep so far.
Yeah, there he goes. So just half a lap from home now for Gavin Porteous. Do you love your rock and roll racing? Well, plenty of rocking and rolling from the chassis of these cars, but it doesn't matter. Good, affordable motorsport. And here is Porteous swooping around the final turns now to take out this race.
Checkered flag will be at the ready at Mallala. The local will do it at home. He will win race number 3 here at Mallala Raceway of the Merckbits HQRA National Challenge. Chad Beers will be second, Corey home for third, Pilkington great result for fourth, and of Crouch, White, Stanfield and Greg Godding completed the top 8.
Lucky we got a good start and drove away from the line. I thought young Rowan Stanfield would have given us a bit of a curry, but we've actually got the jump on him, so that was quite good to clear out a bit and have a bit of a gap. Then you can relax and do your own thing.
I got underneath the green car from Victoria and at the southern hairpin, and I got a fairly good exit, but the car's sort of down on power a fair bit. But poor Graham Bolter was coming around in front of us, unaware of what was going around. He just went round the corner. I just collected him in the rear end.
One of our most seasoned drivers had a bit of brain fade. He says it was someone else's fault. That's a common denominator in these accidents, and he came down the grass on the inside and put a very big dent in the car. So it's pushed the rear quarter panel in over the tyre, and so that's me for the day.
Well, this was it, Luke, the final race of the 07 Merc Bits HQRA National Challenge, and a big field of 3.3 litre HQs revving off the grid. This one was sure to be a ripper.
Bart Stanfield had a good start, but was no match for the drivers behind him as he got picked off one by one.
After losing a good 5 positions, Stanfield was getting very furious and quite frustrated to boot, trying to work his way through the field.
Number 31, Graham Mason, was having an absolute Barry Crocker with another DNF next to his name in the final race of the season.
Rob Southgate, meanwhile, looked like he was heading that way too, but managed to get himself back on track.
Things weren't getting any better for Bart Stanfield as he went off track for quite a while in the flip-flops.
Race leader Porteous had a bit more competition this race. Chad Beers right on his tail and waiting for the opportunity for a chance at first place.
Meantime, a battle for third was building between Pilkington and Neil Corey, but podium or not, Pilkington was looking to take the 2007 Merc Bits Challenge.
Brendan Nicholson locked up into the flip-flops straight into the dirt, drifting around, maybe wanting to show his chances to join the Drift Australia Championship. Why not?
Gavin Porteous gained a good 3 seconds on Beers and took a hat-trick of race wins from Beers, Pilkington, Corey, Crouch, White, Nicolo and Godding.
And congratulations to our 2007 Merc Bits HQRA National Champion, Kieran Pilkington.
The car was really good. We sort of about halfway through it went off, but we ended up having on and off brake dramas all weekend, so they started to come back to haunt me a little bit at the end, and one of the other guys caught up, but were able to hold him out till the end. It was a really good battle. And the Workhorse Collision P&V Mechanical Repairs team worked really hard this weekend. We've turned up, never seen the place before. We just sort of plugged away at it all weekend, bit by bit, and finally got the car on the money in the end. We wrapped up the title with 1 race to go, and just over the moon we've been able to make it to the podium for the final, and really happy with that this weekend.
Well, there it is in writing, your champion for the HQRA National Challenge, thanks to Merc Bits' Kieran Pilkington. Stephen White finished second in the series ahead of Bob Fullerton and Bart Stanfield, whilst John Fullerton, Connell Crane and Cranbrook completed the top 8.